Welcome to Inside Plug, the podcast where independent creators and entrepreneurs connect and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. Today on our show, we have a traditional Mexican ballet dancer, Sebastian Ibarra-Perez. Sebastian, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Glad to have you here. Just so I got it correctly, did I pronounce your last name correctly? I don't think I've ever said your last name.
Ibarra Perez.
Ibarra.
Ibarra.
Ibarra-Perez. All right, perfect. All right, Sebastian. We are glad to have you here, and believe it or not, you are our first traditional Mexican ballet dancer that we've ever had on the show. So I'm really interested in hearing about the different types of dances, the styles, and before we jump into those dances and the different styles and the tradition and everything that comes with it, Sebastian as the traditional Mexican dancer, where did that begin for you?
It began at the beginning of high school. I had played a lot of sports growing up, and then once I stopped playing sports, I think I got injured. I wanted to go into something that was a little bit of a slower pace. And I went into dance because I wanted to connect a little bit more to my culture. And there was a group that was across the street from my high school. So I was a freshman in high school. I joined that group and I danced ever since. So I've been dancing for a little over 8 years now, and I still enjoy it every single day. Uh, and yeah, that's kind of where it began, just the beginning of high school, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. So initially you wanted to connect with your culture.
Mm.
For any of the listeners who, haven't heard from you before, or this is their first time listening to you, could you enlighten us a little bit about your culture, your background, and then we'll connect it to the dances?
Yeah, so I'm Mexican, and being Mexican, our culture is very colorful, very bright, right? And then one of the things that we do is traditional dances from different regions of Mexico. Now you know them as states, but before they were just called regions, and each region in Mexico had their own specific dance that they do. Uh, and they were all inspired from the traditional or the tribes that were in that area, the indigenous tribes. And then once Spaniards came along, they influenced those dances, and each one became their own. They're all very unique. They dance to different music. They do different steps and things like that. The group that I joined did a lot of the Baja California region, which is the one that's it's right below the San Diego border. That entire region. Those are the dances that I um, specifically did. However, I did branch out in the Jalisco, Veracruz, Sinaloa, a bunch of different regions from Mexico, and I enjoyed them all.
Awesome. All right, so let's pick it back up from that group that you found that was in your neighborhood. What was their um I guess what was their community and what dances did you learn there?
So the community, it was part of, it was free to join. It was a it was at a rec center. So I just went and took some classes there. A very tight knit community. We had fundraisers and everything to raise money for the outfits that we would wear during the dances. And that group specifically did a lot of what the dance is called calabaciado from Baja California. And we performed here in San Diego a lot, mostly in San Diego, because a lot of the dancers are from here, just local, right? And that was a very small group, just very community based. And we danced here in the Linda Vista area a lot.
Nice, nice. For that dance, could you describe the style of that dance, fast pace, slow pace? And you mentioned the uniforms. Like, how did the uniforms look? And was it overall a presentation that went with the dance? Like,
Yeah. So it's pretty much you're acting on stage, right? You want to embody the personality of somebody that's from that region. So with every different region has this different culture, right? So people from one region would sort of act differently, have different sayings, have different expressions that they would use, as opposed to a different region, right? From the north of Mexico is very different than from the south of Mexico. The outfits that we would wear in the north of Mexico, you would uh, it's basically like a cowboy outfit, right? Like a modern cowboy outfit. You have the hat, which is called a tejana. It just looks like a cowboy hat. You have a button-up shirt. your tie, it wouldn't be a tie, it would be more of a bolo tie. You have a leather belt, the boots, cowboy boots, some denim jeans, and you would dance a style called calabaciado, which is a very, very fast-paced dance, very loud, very expressive. Use your feet a lot, you kick around a lot, you kick dirt. That's the main.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
Your feet a lot, you kick around a lot, you kick dirt. That's the main idea of the dance, is to lift up as much dirt as possible because you're supposed to be in a rodeo. And when you dance this, you want to act like you're in a rodeo. You want to act like you're a cowboy, that you know how to ride horses, and then different acts come along with the different dances as well. Sometimes you're acting like you're trying to get the attention of a girl, and the girl is kind of like pushing away from you, so you want to dance with her, right? You want to pull her back in, things like that. So there's a bunch of different acts that you can do in the songs. Different music, right? So if the music is about maybe like a heartbreak, the act could be about a guy losing a girl, or the music is about trying to uh, I would lose the word in English, but conquistar, it means to like um, to want to be with a girl, right? You could make the act around that, right?
All right.
So it depends on the songs, it depends on the bands, right? The pursuit, right?
Yeah.
Of love, pretty much, right?
There you go. All right. That's awesome. So you mentioned how the North is different from the South, like, and then on stage you're a cowboy and you are doing these different types of acts or mannerisms or maneuvers that a cowboy's supposed to do. Now, are you researching other actors, or are you learning that at the school? And say with the same thing with the language, like the different types of language from the different regions. How are you putting all that into your act as the dancer?
So I typically always we always do research, right? On whatever region we're dancing, we always try to ask someone that's from that region. I was lucky enough in the second group that I joined that the teacher there was actually from the Baja California region. I am also from the Baja California region, right? So we kind of have that connection to that region. But if we're doing a dance from Veracruz, what we would do is we would ask someone from that region to come here and to teach us what they do. So there was one time where our teacher asked the professor at the University of Veracruz to come and to teach us their dances. So he flew from Veracruz to San Diego, and he basically taught us what the dances of Veracruz are, what the footwork looks like, what types of expressions they use, right? Things like that. With their outfits, what they wear is very different. It's not a cowboy outfit. You would wear something called a guayabera, which is a basically white kind of linen material shirt with also very similar pants. So white pants with white boots and red accents. So you have a red tie around you. And then the hat isn't like a cowboy hat. It's similar, but it's white. And then it's a little pointier on the front.
Mm.
And so, yeah, everything is different, and it's a little bit more formal. It's less loud than Calabaciado. It'd be more quiet. The dresses that the women wear are also all white, very long, very beautiful, lots of embellishments on them. Um, so yeah, we'd usually try to ask somebody that's from that region to come and teach us, just so we don't disrespect, what their culture is, right? So we try to keep it as usually people try to keep it as traditional as possible. Sometimes people take creative liberties, as everybody else does in every other, right, in like movies and films and things like that. People try to change things up, and it's always cool, right, as long as you do it with uh compassion and respect for the original art, right?
Hmm. That's awesome. I love that. All right. So you learned that type of dance. And then where did you progress to after that? Did you learn another style of dance at the same rec center, or did you start traveling and start doing other type of styles?
Yeah, so the rec center was my first ever dance group, and I liked it so much, so I wanted to kind of expand a little bit. So I joined my second group called Wakushma, which is a group that's closer to the border, again focused on Calabaciado. And that group was the one that kind of exposed me more to what the world of ballet folklorico was. We, instead of just performing in San Diego, we perform all the way up into LA, and in Mexico, we'd go down to Ensenada and perform there. We actually were part of a short film as well, where it was about the history of the dances here in Baja California and what the dances, how they evolved. So how it started with the Kumeyaay tribe that was here in the San Diego, Baja California area. That was the original tribe. And once the Spaniards came, obviously they had their influence there and they kind of inspired the cowboy culture there. So, and they talked about the wedding uh, traditions that they had in the movie and the different types of dances, right? Like who leads the dances. Sometimes dances have a leader. So yeah, we talked about that in that short film that we did. And yeah, that group tours around the world actually. So they go to Europe as well. They perform there. And it was a very, very fun group to be part of. But yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. For that group, can you announce their name again for the listeners out there? So if they hear it, they can look for it.
Wakushma, it means family that dances in Kumeyaay.
All right. And also, um, I'm not sure if you can, but if you can share a little bit about this short film, kind of tease us a little bit. What's the name of the film? Is it coming out? Is it already out?
The film came out a couple of years ago. It was, I believe, 2020 that it came out. It was called Shack, which means woman of Baja California, right? And it was about just the history of the dances in that area. So it started off with the dances, how the Kumeyaay did them. And we went to a Kumeyaay tribe in Baja California and we talked with them for an entire day. They taught us their culture, like how they, what's around in that area. We went on a little hike. They showed us their kind of, uh, their, their area that they live in, right? How they live, what food they eat. And then they showed us the dance at the end and they taught us how to do it and the music. Their music is very, calm. They use maracas and just vocal voice, right? So there's no like actual music, like instruments in the back. It's just very just the maraca and the voice. And we did a dance there for that film. And then after that, it evolved into the marriage story of a more modern, version of what the Baja California kind of evolved into from there. So it was a wedding dance, a traditional wedding dance where people kind of hold hands and they walk around in circles and they filmed that.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
Wedding dance where people kind of hold hands and they walk around in circles and they filmed that. We did that. That one's called cuadrillas. That's a different type of dance. And then from there, evolved into calabaceado, which is a more modern dance that people still dance to this day in that region. It originated in La Misión, Baja California. That's the name of the city. And that's a more modern dance. Yeah. So it came around that Billy in the 50s when it started to gain notice.
Awesome. All right, Sebastian, I got a question. So with these dances and these styles, and you're learning different types of cultures and different histories, and then also the film gave a lot of detail on, history, on, tradition and, the modern life. What would you say has been some of the obstacles that you had to face during this journey?
I think some of the obstacles were just how difficult some of the dances are and how tough they are to learn. It's a lot of dedication, a lot of just, many hours just spent like in the studio going over the same step over and over again until you get it. I think it's good to have sort of like a competition, and not a competition, but sort of like competition between your teammates. I think that helped me a lot overcome those obstacles, right? Healthy competition, to know somebody else is doing it. It's like, so can you, right? You got to learn from people, talk to people, things like that. But I'd say that would be the number one thing. The number one obstacle is just how tough some of the dances are. They can be very exhausting, right? Sometimes you have to carry people, you have to
Wow.
lift them up, do really fast spins, and like you have to maintain balance. A lot of stamina as well. You have to build up your endurance. So it can get pretty tough, but it's fun.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So now we have those two dances. Any other styles that you learn? And is it from the same community or did you branch out more?
So I believe the main style that everybody kind of thinks about when they think of Ballet Folklorico is the mariachi dance from Jalisco. which they dress in the traditional charro outfits, which are the big round sombreros, right, with the mariachi vest, the embellished pants, right, with the sort of metal on the sides, and the black boots. That one's called just Jalisco is the region, and they do mariachi dances. They dance to traditional mariachi music. I think that's the main one. And then people think of the dresses, right? The really colorful dresses that the women wear and the movement that they do. That was one that we also did a lot because it's just the most common one that people, they see that and they're like, oh, that's Mexico, right? So whenever we would go to maybe the Del Mar Fair in San Diego here or in Del Mar, right? We would perform that and then also add on different regions if we had time. But that's kind of like the main one. And then obviously, since we're so close to the border here to Tijuana and the Baja California region, we dance a lot of calabaceado.
All right, Sebastian, we're at that part of the episode where I ask the guests this question. Usually I'll ask, what is a book, a TV show, or a film that you recommend? But in your situation, being that you're a traditional Mexican ballet dancer, what are some dances that you recommend to an aspiring dancer?
So I recommend just looking in your community to see if there are any groups you can join, right? Because I think the main thing is not necessarily looking for like, hey, I want to dance this region. Because if you're just starting out, it'd be good just to get any experience, right? To see maybe if your group does Jalisco mostly, which is like the main one, you could do that one and then maybe branch off and look at other regions from there. But I think the main thing is to just look in your community, see if there are any groups you can join. Join those, get to know some people because you're going to meet some really good dancers and they can teach you kind of the ropes and how, maybe they got into dancing and what tips they can give you. It's always good to learn, face to face whenever you have that opportunity. So yeah, just look in your community and see where groups are available, opportunities you can take. I think that's the advice I would give to someone that's just starting out.
Awesome. Everyone, you heard it here. Look in your community, find those dances, and get going. We're looking forward to seeing more dancers out there, learning your culture, experiencing the tradition, and making history. Real quick, Sebastian, I didn't get a chance to ask in the middle of our episode. I usually ask this question. Where can people find you if they want to, check out some of your dances, check out some of your projects that you've been a part of?
Yes. YouTube channel called Wakushma. So that's Aushma. And there's some dances that they've posted that I've been a part of. The group that is based out of here in Chula Vista. Master_IB, where I just post my day-to-day life. Sometimes I'll do a video here and there of me dancing. Those are places where you can see what I've done and what I'm up to now. Did that come through?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. All right, everyone. Today, that's been our episode of Inside Plug. Remember, stay inspired and keep creating. Sebastian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. I was going to be here.
All right, everyone. Inside Plug, signing out.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.